Ms. Kamish Ahmed, are we good to start? Perfect. Thank you very much. Good morning and a very warm welcome to everybody to the Parliamentary Oversight Committee meeting for Friday the 6th of March. My name is Gillian Bosman and I'm the chairperson of this committee. I'm going to ask that all the members present please introduce themselves for the record.
Morning, Dave Bryant, member of the committee.
Morning, Benedict van Binnen, member of the committee.
Thomas Walters, a member of the legislature.
Good morning, Wendy Kaiser-Fernanda, member of the committee.
Are there any other members present? I don't see any other indication. We'll continue. I'm then going to hand over to the speaker. If the speaker can perhaps just introduce himself, and also then the secretary, and perhaps also just indicate the delegation that's joining us, or everybody can go ahead and introduce themselves as well.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning, colleagues. My name is Dalen Mitchell, and I'm the speaker.
Good morning, Regan Allen, Deputy Speaker.
Good morning, Rashida Beg, Secretary.
Good morning, Sunil Foucher, Public Engagement.
Good morning, Margot Goldstone, Director, Strategy and Institutional Oversight.
Good morning, Vernon Titus, Director, Institutional Enablement.
Good morning, Lubabalo Stemele, Director, Parliamentary Support Services.
Good morning, Nicole Peterson, Chief Financial Officer.
Morning, Chair. Dawood Jawadin, Manager Finance.
Morning, James Retief, Manager Stakeholder Management and Communication Services.
Good morning, Chair and members. Ridwan Babu, Knowledge Management and Information Services.
Morning, Chair. Toby Skricker, Manager ICT.
Good morning, Chair. Kaya Mkunyana, Acting Manager, Public Education and Outreach.
Good morning, Chairperson, People Management.
Good morning, Chairperson, Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Mario Sassman, Manager, Committee Support. Thank you.
Morning, Chair and members, Zinzinigelo, Financial Compliance and Internal Control.
Good morning, Loretta Elliott, Speaker's Office.
Good morning, members and colleagues. Yanni A, Speaker's Office.
Chair, I think that's the total of the team. There are some other support staff that's also joining together with their managers. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. And once again, a very warm welcome to everybody. Colleagues, we are here for a briefing by the Western Cape Provincial Parliament on the third quarter performance, both financial and non-financial. So I'm going to hand over to the Speaker and the Secretary and the team for those presentations, and then we'll have a discussion after that.
Thank you very much, Chair. And once again, good morning, colleagues. Chair, I think the quarter three reports, both financial and performance, non-financial performance, is pretty straightforward. As you will note, Chair, the most of the, in particular from the financial reporting, most of the expenditure would occur in the fourth quarter. But between Ms. Goldstone and Mr. Jawardine, we will take you through those presentations. And we, as always, are looking forward to a robust engagement on these targets. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Members. This is the report on non-financial performance for quarter 3 of the 2025-26 financial year. The presentation covers the legislative framework governing quarterly reporting, then the strategic overview, followed by the quarter 3 actual performance against our APP targets. And finally, we conclude with institutional highlights and key statistics for the quarter. Chairperson, in terms of the legislative framework, this slide confirms that quarterly reporting by the Provincial Parliament is indeed required in terms of legislation, and the legislation applicable is the Financial Management of Parliament and the Provincial Legislatures Act, and the specific provisions of the Act are detailed on the slide. Chair, the strategic overview section just affirms that the vision of the WCPP to be a leading provincial parliament committed to deepening democracy in the Western Cape, together with the mission, core values, strategic priorities, have continued to inform and guide the manner in which we executed our constitutional mandate during the quarter. In terms of the overview of our APP performance, so the WCPP has 40 APP targets for the year and 2 for quarter 3. Both of the quarter 3 targets were in program 1, as you'll see from the slide. Programs 2, 3, and 4 had no planned targets for the quarter. Chair, the 2 planned targets for quarter 3 were the 2 compliance targets in the Office of the Speaker and in the Office of the Secretary. In both instances, all requirements and reporting obligations in terms of FAMPLA were met, and the result is an overall achievement level of 100% for the quarter. Chair, the slides that follow just summarize the key activities that we've undertaken during quarter 3 under each of the strategic priorities. So under strategic priority 1, building a credible WCPP, the focus during the quarter was largely on governance, compliance, and institutional planning. So we highlight the tabling of the adjustments budget, the tabling of statutory reports. Specifically, we mentioned the quarter 2 financial and non-financial reports, and the mid-year budget and performance assessment report. We also highlight the extensive process of institutional planning for the 26-27 MTEF, which commenced in quarter 3. Chair, under strategic priority 2, improving and expanding services and the experiences of the people of the Western Cape. Here the focus is on public participation, education and outreach, and our highlights for the quarter include hosting of commemorative programs such as the 16 Days of Activism for No Violence Against Women and Children and World AIDS Day. We also continue to implement the annual education program, which is essentially workshops which we conduct with various institutions such as universities, schools, municipalities, but also with civil society organizations aimed at strengthening their understanding of our work. We've also hosted a focused civil society engagement in quarter 3, which was essentially a dialogue on safeguarding older persons that brought together government as well as civil society stakeholders. Under strategic priority 3, strengthening the core business, the focus continued to be on our core constitutional work. Highlights during the quarter include work undertaken by the standing committees in conducting oversight over the 2024-25 annual reports of all provincial departments and their entities, processing of the Western Cape Appropriation Bill, and establishment of the ad hoc committee on child protection reforms. Under strategic priority 4, strengthening support to legislators, we highlight amongst the many activities that were undertaken during the quarter, we highlight in particular members' participation in interparliamentary fora, which is really about strengthening their capacity and enabling them also to exchange knowledge with their counterparts or peers in other jurisdictions. Specifically, we mentioned the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference in Barbados, which took place last year. We also provided, as is the normal practice, orientation and support for a new member who joined the WCPP in quarter 3. Under strategic priority 5, strengthening organizational culture, capability, performance, and resilience. Key highlights here include what we refer to as evidence-based decision-making, or at least support for evidence-based decision-making. In particular, we highlight 2 key studies, the performance and expenditure review, which we discussed at the committee strategic planning over the last few days, which is a project undertaken by GTAC, which is an entity in the National Treasury. And the study is in the main aimed at supporting planning and budgeting, particularly in the core business areas. So that was well underway in quarter 3. We also highlight the Organized Stakeholder Survey, which is a survey which we externally commissioned to a research company, which is really about assessing the perceptions of the WCPP and also the experiences of institutional stakeholders of the WCPP. And there we're focusing on civil society organizations, but also Chapter 9 institutions. And that commenced in quarter 3 and will be concluded by the end of quarter 4. In quarter 3, still on strategic priority 5, in quarter 3, we also continued to roll out a range of staff wellness initiatives. And then, very importantly, we've started to institutionalize a climate survey. For this current year, we will undertake 2 climate surveys. One was done in quarter 2 and another one will be done in quarter 4. But the climate surveys are essentially a way to gauge the pulse of where staff are at in terms of their experience of the organization. And to feed that information into any sort of interventions as part of our broader culture change journey. Finally, the report concludes, so we've just included some slides here, some images of institutional highlights for that quarter, some events that took place. We conclude with some statistics on parliamentary activity during the quarter for public engagement, for plenary and for committees. And those essentially provide just a quantitative overview of the work that we've undertaken during the quarter. Chair, I think it's important maybe also just to indicate that whilst we had only 2 targets for the financial year, we must bear in mind that 25-26 is a foundational year in terms of our 5-year strategy. And that by quarter 3, we've done considerable work in putting in place the foundation. So through the surveys, for example, we are establishing baselines. We've developed a range of key institutional strategies, both in the core business area, but also in the enabling support areas that will set us up for the remainder of the term. So those will be reported extensively in the quarter 4 or annual report. And Chair, that concludes the report on the quarter 3 non-financial performance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goldstone. Members, with your permission, we are also going to take the second presentation on the financial performance, and then we'll have a discussion after that.
Good morning, Chair and members. If I may, I'm sharing my screen. I can just confirm my screen is visible, Chair.
Yes, it is. Please go ahead.
Chair. Thank you, Chair. I will be presenting the quarter 3 financial report. And this is our financial report as at the end of December 2025, the third quarter of 25-26 financial year. of our 274,273,000 adjusted budget. As at the end of the third quarter, we have spent 198,615,000, which is 72.42% spent on our budget. And as at this point in time, Chair, we were all on track with our spending. As the Speaker mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, Chair, there has been quite a bit of expenditure projected to happen in the fourth quarter, which will bring our percentage closer to the 100% spend towards the end of the financial year. With regards to Program 1, in terms of the adjusted budget of 101,697,000, we've spent 68,268,000, a 67% spend on that. The reason for that percentage being less than the overall average is due to the fact that there's quite a bit of expenditure, as mentioned previously, in the fourth quarter. For example, SOPA, the SOPA and a couple other expenditures, which was taking place in the fourth quarter. With regards to Program 2, of the 25,409,000, we spent 18,350,000, a 72.22% spend on Program 2. There we also on track with expenditure, and another quite a high value expenditure that's coming through or has come through now in the fourth quarter is the Standing Committee workshop, which actually finalized in this current financial year, this current week, sorry, Chair. With regards to Program 3, it's a 69% or just less than 70% spend of the 18,933,000 budget, and there quite a bit of expenditure also came through now in the fourth quarter in terms of SOPA, and that will push that percentage also higher. We're quite close to the 100% spend in this particular program as well. With regards to Program 4, of the 70,848,000, we spent 65,186,000. That's a 92% spend. The reason why that percentage is higher than most of the other programs is due to the fact that the secretarial and constituency allowance are paid in advance to political parties, and the last or the fourth quarter advance was paid in December, which obviously shows that we technically fully paid up those allowances. In terms of the other expenditure allowances, or in terms of members enabling allowances, those are demand driven and paid as and when members claim for their enabling allowances. In terms of Program 5, so the direct charges, as you mentioned, Chair, the direct charges particularly is, or just those that this budget is mainly member salaries. So this budget is just member salaries and remuneration, and the budget of 57,386,000. The reason why that budget is only 58% is due to the fact that the members approved salary increase only came through now in the fourth quarter. So that percentage will jump quite a bit now in the fourth quarter, based on the back pay paid to the members now in the fourth quarter. And Chair, that's basically the financial report as at the end of the third quarter. And as mentioned, as at this point in time, we were on track with our spending. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawadin. Just to check from the Secretary and the Speaker, are there any inputs that you'd like to make?
Thank you, Chair. No, nothing from my side. I think it's all covered. As confirmed, we are on track with our spending. When we report on the fourth quarter expenditure, you'll see the significant difference. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, on my side, just a correction. I think Margot indicated we only have 2 targets for the financial year. We've got 40 targets for the financial year. We've reported on 2 of those targets. The balance of the targets are all annual targets, and those will be reflected in quarter 4. It is something that we are going to address with the new APP to ensure that we have more regular quarterly target set as opposed to all the annual targets. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, the ball is now in your court. Do you have any questions, clarity, or any general questions, and also any comments that you'd like to make? I see Honourable Bryant and then Honourable Barnes.
Thanks very much, Chairperson. I think firstly, I just want to say thank you to the presenters and to Ms. Begg in particular. There really does seem to be a noticeable shift in the way Parliament is being managed. Not that it wasn't being managed well before, that just seems like it's cracked up into a new gear, which is really great to see. It's also good to see those targets being properly set out, and it gives us a really good opportunity as an oversight committee to ensure that those targets are achieved and that we are able to then monitor those effectively. So thank you again, and congratulations to the team on good results thus far.
Thank you very much. Honourable Barnes, over to you.
Good morning to you, Chair, and good morning to the Speaker and to management. Let me start with my questions. I have a set of questions for the non-financial performance on slide 13, Chair. On slide 13, it speaks of governance, leadership, and administration. What I would like to know, Chair, is why is the performance for other programs not shared? Perhaps if we can just be reflected as to what other programs are there, even if it was not achieved or whatever was achieved, one has interest to see what was happening there. And then on slide 18, Chair, under the official opening of SOPA, one thing that I've noticed, Chair, is that I've seen staff committee members not being part of SOPA. Perhaps if one can get an elaboration as to why this is not happening. Reason for asking that, Chair, one must appreciate some synergy on staff of committee staff and how they complement what we do in our committees. I still have the view that says that those staff members that are part of committees, they are working closely with us as members, and not only us as members, but the chairpersons themselves. I believe they are the most closest to advise on what gets resolved in whatever, be it at SOPA as well, because I think we don't debate for just to show people, but we are coming with serious issues that has an impact on even on committee work. So one would want to know as to why are they not forming part of our SOPAs. Yeah, and then also, Chair, having taken to SOPA to the people for all these years, outside that value it gives for the day on business opportunity, what other opportunities for those areas where we are taking SOPA to have we done? And then, Chair, under slide 23, that speaks of a key statistics plenary. We have seen numbers, Chair. Is the Speaker and his team satisfied with the numbers? For instance, the quarter, there were 3 subjects for discussions and only 1 opportunity for questions to the Premier without notice. Does it bring any satisfaction to the Speaker and his team to have such occurrences? And then, Chair, my last question on the non-financial part is under slide 24 of meetings and public hearings. In respect to the work of the committees, how is the issue of attrition affecting them? And what is the succession plan? For the committee staff leaves for greener pastures, do we have a program to capacitate others internally, Chair, to be able to take over? You know, Chair, this is not the first time I'm raising it, that I think really we should look into a succession plan. We have seen recently some of our staff members are leaving, and as they depart, I'm of a strong view that we should look for internal succession and capacitating those that are already there before we go and exit outside. Now, Chair, you need to guide me. Can I do my last question, which is under the financial reporting? I only have 1 question there, Chair. Can I add it here?
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair. That one is under slide 3, 3rd quarter expenditure for sub-program 1. For all the sub-programs with expenditure below 60%, Chair, one would want to know, is there a plan to avoid this underspending? That's my question for now. I've noticed that the Secretary indicated that annual targets will be reflected for the 4th quarter. So one must maybe not ask the rest because I had some other questions, but let me wait for the fourth quarter. For now, I'm satisfied with only having submitting this one question. That's it for me, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Barnes. I'll now hand over to the Speaker and the Secretary for responses.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm going to touch on one or two of the questions posed. Firstly, thank you to Honourable Bryant for his comment. I think it is indeed so. The team is working incredibly hard, and we are stepping up and making sure that we achieve our vision under the leadership of the Secretary. So thank you very much for those comments. Chair, just two points raised by Honourable Barnes. So if you refer to page 13, we're just reporting on quarter 3, and as indicated for quarter 3, there was only 2 targets, so we're only reporting on the targets. So in quarter 4, you'll see the entire set of targets for the entire year, because that's our last reporting for the financial year. But for this particular reporting session or section, it's only the 2 targets that we have planned for, and that's why we're only reporting on those 2 targets. Chair, with regards to the underspend, again, we're in quarter 3 of the reporting cycle, and as indicated in my opening remarks and echoed by Mr. Jawuddin, most of the expenditure for this financial year happened in quarter 4. So what you'll see in the financials is a reflection on as at the end of December. So in quarter 4, you'll see in the financials that there will be a significant increase in the percentage spend, and closer to the 100% of our adjusted budget. Chair, with regards to the comment, I hear Honourable Barnes's point about committee staff and SOPA, but colleagues, the reality is that the committee staff was providing the committee support to members prior to SOPA. So SOPA is not an isolated event or isolated event on our calendar. All the committee work that precedes SOPA with the public education and outreach team, it all interlinks to or leads up to SOPA. So the assumption and perception that the committee staff is not part of SOPA is absolutely not correct, because they form part of the actual SOPA event, and all leads up to that. So the entire team at WCPP plays an incredible and significant role to ensure that we can deliver this world-class event on the parliamentary calendar. So all the staff of WCPP in some way or some sort of form is part of SOPA. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, may I add?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Honourable Bryant for the positive comments. Honourable Barnes, there are currently 40 targets in the APP. 38 of those targets are annual targets, and 2 are quarterly targets. And that's the point that I raised earlier, that in the new APP, we've made provision more for quarterly reporting on targets, as opposed to an annual report. It gives us a better opportunity to track progress against the targets, and also to be able to make sure that we are able to achieve the targets. I think speakers addressed the issue around SOPA and the fact that there were committees that had embarked on oversight visits alongside SOPA. So the committee staff were actually part and parcel of that process. Going forward, as speakers indicated, we'll be hosting SOPA at the WCPP, and that gives an opportunity for all our staff to be involved. I think the message that I've shared with all the staff, and not just the staff who supported SOPA at Conwell, is that SOPA is not just an event on the calendar, it's a key strategic focus for the institution. It will determine to a large extent what it is that committees will be overseeing. So it's critically important in the different spaces, be it committee, plenaries, public participation, as well as the support services, that we go and do an analysis and see the impact of SOPA together with the budget speech, particularly on the work of committees and the work of the WCPP. So that message has been communicated to all staff. There was a question around the statistics for plenaries. Plenaries are largely dependent on what is programmed and what is agreed to at a programming level. I take note of the comment raised around the one opportunity for questions to the Premier. But I have sat in the programming meetings where these were discussed. And as an administration, we support the decision that's taken at that level. The issue of succession plan, we agree with you wholeheartedly. We've lost 2 staff members, particularly in the committee's side, as well as in ICT. They've all gone to National Parliament. We have finalized a succession planning framework, a draft thereof, and we do see the importance of making sure that we, for want of better phrasing, grow our own timber and make sure that we strengthen our internal capacity, but also that we ensure that people can see a level of mobility when other staff leave, and to make sure that we invest particularly in committees and plenary side. There was a question around the expenditure. I think Dawood has explained that. Perhaps if we can go to the slide and we can be taken through that. Maybe just on the targets, there are 3 targets that we call in our terminology that's potentially at risk, that we may not achieve at the end of the financial year. It will give us a 93% target achieved. We are working on those targets. It's particularly the upgrade of the chamber, the committee rooms, including the library. That's required an extensive procurement process, which required external expertise. We are finalizing that procurement. There's also one of the surveys where our procurement on the EPS didn't give us the desired results, which now necessitated a tender to be issued, and that is also at procurement stage. And then there is also the OD study where we did use EPS initially. It didn't yield the results. The service provider didn't meet the requirements that we had defined in the specifications, and we now also have to go on a tender for that exercise. Perhaps Dawood, maybe on slide 3, if you can just share those targets that are under 60%, which ones are those? Thank you very much, Chair.
You, Chair, if I may.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I'm largely covered by the Speaker and the Secretary in terms of the expenditure, particularly in terms of Member Barnes' questions with regards to Programme 1. Member Barnes has mentioned the particular percentage that's lower than I think the 60% mark, and the answer or the comment I mentioned earlier is particularly apt for those particular sub-programs. If I look at the particular ones, strategy and organizational performance at 41%, there is particularly what Margot has mentioned previously, the organized stakeholder surveys and the public perception surveys are projects that are being finalized or projected for in the 4th quarter. And with regards to all the other sub-programs under 60% is also particularly with regards to projects that has been projected for to be finalized in the 4th quarter. In IT, there's quite a bit of projects being worked on in this current quarter, which is projected for and hopefully being finalized by the end of this quarter, as well as with both logistics and with security services. The majority of that expenditure has now been finalized in the 4th quarter, because that's where quite a bit of the expenditure in terms of SOPA has come through. With regards to security services, there is also the static security services, which is claims from SAPS for static security services. So that also is claim based. But just to answer Member Barnes' other question in terms of the plan, to spend this money in the fourth quarter. We do have monthly, what we call monthly IYM meetings with each manager and each sub-program. And in those meetings, we do touch on all these projects. We get feedback on the progress of those projects, and we do try and attempt to assist sub-program managers in finalizing those projects and getting detail with regards to any hurdles or any delays. But there are plans, Member Barnes, with regards to spending that money in the fourth quarter. And like I mentioned, through our mechanism, which is the monthly IYM meetings that we have with the sub-program managers. Thank you, Chair. I hope that answers that question.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, are there any follow-ups to those rounds of questions?
Not from my side. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Just also to add to the sort of question Member Barnes asked about the plenary sittings in the quarter under review, I think we must also bear in mind that the period under review included specifically that we had to process the adjustments appropriation bill and related budget adjustments and schedule those committee meetings. So time had to prioritize for us to sort of meet the requirements in terms of the budget legislation. So those decisions made in programming took that reality into account as well. So the quarter itself had 7 house sittings with 1 opportunity for questions to the Premier without notice. But that's only because sort of we had a slightly sort of bigger chunk of the time that was focused on the budget. Colleagues, I see no other hands for questions from the members. So I'm just going to ask again, are there any other questions on the presentations?
No questions from my side, Chair.
Perfect. Thank you very much, colleague. That then concludes that segment. I just want to say here in this meeting as well, well done to the secretary and the administration, both the organizers of the SOPA event at Conville, as well as the committee team for the pre-SOPA visits. It was once again a very well organized outreach program for us, and the feedback that I've received from the members of the public and the people that we interacted with is that they were very impressed by how everything was organized, and also it was a really good opportunity for them to see what we actually do in Wales Street. So well done, Madam Secretary and your team, as well as to the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker who chaired those 2 days. It was a really sort of a sight to see how our Parliament is so efficient in being able to replicate what we do in the chambers in a different venue as well, once again. So thank you very much. Colleagues, so that then concludes the segment of this meeting on the briefing on the 3rd quarterly performance, both financial and non-financial. The Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Secretary and your team, you are more than welcome to leave the meeting if you'd like to get back to your desks and get on with spending the last couple of percentage of the money in this quarter. And if the members could just stay behind for some housekeeping.
Thank you very much, Chair, to you and the committee. And I think it would be remiss of me not to thank the team for the hard work that has gone into the delivery of these excellent services that you have just encapsulated in your closing remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the Friday. Members, we're just going to give everybody an opportunity to exit, and then we will go over to our housekeeping, and Ms. Kamish Ahmad will flight the draft committee report on the third quarterly performance. Colleagues, that's then the draft report on the screen, and it just reads that the report of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee on the Western Cape Provincial Parliament third quarter performance, financial and non-financial 2025, dated 6th March 2026 as follows. The Parliamentary Oversight Committee convened on 6th March 2026 and concluded its deliberations on the Western Cape Provincial Parliament third quarter performance, financial and non-financial, referred to it in accordance with Standing Rule 89.1, in accordance with Section 37.6 and 66 of the FMPPLA, also known as FAMPLA. The Western Cape Provincial Parliament reported to the committee that no instructions were issued for the period under review. May I have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of this report?
I propose, Chair.
Thank you very much. I see it's proposed by Honourable Bryant, and then I see the hand of Honourable Kaiser Philander.
Second, the Chair.
Thank you very much. The report is thus duly adopted. Ms. Kamish Ahmad, if you could also then flight the draft committee minutes of our meeting of the 8th of December 2025. Colleagues, that then at first page then deals with attendance. It records our discussion on the budget presentation we received. Also highlights the various points of information we requested. Are there any glaring errors and omissions from the minutes that anybody would like us to correct? I see no hands. May we have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of those minutes?
I propose, Chair.
Thank you very much. The minute is proposed by Honourable Bryant. May we have a seconder?
Second, the Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Kaiser Philander. The minutes is then duly adopted. We will now then just also flight the draft committee quarterly report for October to December. Colleagues, this is just an overview of the activities that we've undertaken, as well as a consolidated attendance register for the quarter, and just an update on our budget spend. May we have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of this draft quarterly report?
I propose, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Bryant. And I'll second, since everybody else is on Friday mode already. The draft quarterly report is then duly adopted. Members, are there any resolutions or requests for information emanating from today's meeting that you'd like us to place on record? I see no hands for resolutions or requests, but I see Honourable Bryant.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, it's just basically a request for a follow-up at some stage on the walkabout that we did around the parliamentary precinct, and just maybe a follow-up in terms of how far along some of those requested interventions are.
Okay, we'll make sure that we prepare, get a follow-up presentation perhaps for our next meeting on that. Perfect. Ms. Kamish Ahmad, is there anything else from your side before we close?
No, Chairperson. Thank you.
Colleagues, thank you very much for your time this morning. The meeting is adjourned. Please have a wonderful weekend.